So what did it take to get to the elite level? It takes obsession.
So can you talk me through your last race in Amsterdam?
The day of the actual event, we went to see the physio just to get the all clear, just so basically I just wanted to know if I pushed as hard as I could in this event, what was the risk of me hurting my back further and maybe having a permanent injury. He said that wasn't the case and that I could push hard, so we went into the race and I think the caffeine, a mix of caffeine, a little bit of paracetamol and adrenaline, I think just made me not even think about my back during the race. The actual race itself, I didn't know what to expect. Jonathan Wynn, he's an elite 15 athlete, and he actually said like racing on the grid against the elite 15 is going to be completely different. So started off the race, it was hot out the gate. I think we managed below a 3-minute K for that first kilometre, which is obviously super fast considering all the other kilometres after that were between a 3:30 and 3:40 pace. We got to the ski erg, I came in 6th and I couldn't get my breath, but I managed to keep up the pace on the ski erg and I actually came out the ski erg pretty fast in 3rd. And suddenly, as soon as I started that next run, so my second run, 2 guys passed me straight away and I was like, wow, these guys are fit. I'm kind of experiencing something that I've never experienced before. When I got to the sled push, I actually needed a minute before even attempting the sled. So I kind of slowed down my pace. We started for every 12.5 meters. I think I was braking 2 to 3 times, which I normally never do. I normally just brake halfway and then carry on. So I came out the sled push. So I'd dropped from around 5th, 6th place coming in to 13th, so really slow on the sled push. So midway through the race, this was probably my hardest point. I was praying that nobody else overtakes me. After that, we ran again and I stayed in that position until the sled pull. It felt okay, and at this point, this is where I actually began to get my breath back. This was probably the first point in the race where I actually felt like myself again. So after that, it was the burpee broad jumps. Now I decided to take an easier approach to the burpee broad jump, so it was a little bit slower, but I just needed, at that point, to continue getting my breath back. So I did nice and controlled. I did the kneel, then step up on every rep throughout, and this put me again about 20 to 30 seconds slower, just on the burpees, slower than the fastest boys that were racing. We then got into the good bits, in my opinion. So I actually gained some places back on the row. I went unbroken with the farmer's carry and lunges. I just kept chipping away. I think I came in the wall balls round about 9th or 10th. I actually really struggled on the wall balls, so I broke after around 35 wall balls, I think. From 4th place to 11th place, we all finished within 40 seconds of each other. So like, if I just have dug deep on them wall balls and pushed a little bit on them wall balls, I could have easily placed higher up. As you probably see, like when I crossed the finish line, I was pretty disappointed. I'm not gonna lie, I was gutted. It's hard. That's the hardest thing I've done. Yeah.
And so,
because I probably was under prepared for the race. I think that's why it was the hardest thing I've ever done. I think and that's probably why I was pissed off and I just went and sat down. It's because it shouldn't have felt that hard for the place that I came. And I know what I've got to do now to get better. It made me realise that I'm not at the standard I want to be. I literally want to be the best in the world. I'm going to be putting 150% in. Now that's going to have some sacrifices. We're going to have to hone in to become the best. You've got to be obsessed with the thing that you want to become 100% of the time. So that's what we're going to have to do. We're going to have to go to some extremes, because I see how the other elite boys do it, and yeah, they might not be putting in 100%, but I think if I do that, I can get ahead of them. So what did it take to get to the elite level? It takes obsession. That's what you simply, to become the best, you've got to be obsessed with your craft, whatever it is. So for me, if I want to become the best at HYROX, I've got to go all in on HYROX. I've got to become a nerd of HYROX. I've got to know it inside and out, and you can know all the analytics, but then you've got to pair that together with training hard, recovering hard, eating well, doing all the things that you can in a day to recover, and then being as smart as possible with your training. And then alongside all that, you've then got to have good genetics and a little bit of luck. I think that's the formula for anyone being successful in sport. It's not just hard work. Anyone can work hard, but then what do you do in the times where you're not working? Are you just going out? You're going out drinking, going out partying. Yeah, socialising is good. It might relieve stress. It might add stress. Like you don't know until you try it, and it's all trial and error. Yeah, basically what we're doing, we're training as hard as possible, whilst avoiding burnout and whilst recovering positively from that training load. So you've got to put everything into training as hard as you can, but not too hard, and then recovering as hard as you can the other time. And so many different factors come into that. You could be a robot. For example, there's different ways that people do it, different ways athletes do it. Like you could become a robot and all you do is train, then you eat, sleep, and you repeat. But then if that makes you unhappy in life because you're not getting any thrill of going out with seeing your friends, you're not going partying, you're not going traveling on holidays, if that doesn't make you happy, then like being unhappy will affect your recovery. So you won't be the best that you can be. So you've got to, it's person dependent, you've got to trial and error it for everyone. But yeah, you've got a tank of stress and you've just got to manage it. And you've got to manage that stress, then you've got to let it recover, and then your stress, then it's positively impacted on your body, and then you get fitter. It's just progressive overload. I don't think happiness and becoming the best are in the same sentence. I think there's very few athletes that either are the best in the world or are trying to become the best in the world. I don't think they're what you'd class as happy, or what the everyday person would class as happy. Like, because there's so many sacrifices that you've got to make. There's not much balance. If you think about everything that goes on in life, like to become the best, you've got to prioritize everything. You've got to be very selfish. You've got to prioritize yourself. You've got to prioritize your training, your recovery, and then other things start to suffer. I want to push and give it 110%, and that will cost things like my relationships with family, with friends. Like I hardly see my friends. You know, the only time I do is when I'm training or competing or recovering. But I never go on nights out with them or anything like that. So I'm not happy all the time, but I'm okay with that. I'm okay with not being happy all the time, because that's the sacrifice that we've got to give to become the best. And if you switch it over to business, if you switch it over to anything else, it's exactly the same. So I think my next race, hopefully, is going to be Hong Kong, the next Elite 15 race. At the moment, I'm ranked 16th. I've got 3 weeks to prepare for this. I'm going to give it my all. I'm going to show up on race day, and I'm going to do better than I did in Amsterdam. John actually said today, he was like, do you feel like you're scared of losing? And my answer was, yeah, a little bit. Because if you're not scared, then you won't try. And that's the whole reason you train as hard as you can, because you don't want to lose. No, scared might be the wrong word, but like I don't know, if it scares you and it pushes you forward, then the word's scared, but it could be just don't want to lose. I want to win, I want to be the best. If you're not first, you're last. Motherfuckers.